What's up, everyone? Sergeant Ari right here, and today we're reacting to the last half of Endsieg, Germany's final plan to win World War II, by the Armchair Historian, a very, very pretty good channel. And before we start, I just want to make a few statements. First of all, like an idiot, I forgot to upload part 1, even though I recorded it like 3 days ago or something like that, 2 days ago, I don't remember. But it's out now, so go ahead and watch that. Pretty cool. And also, I don't know why, but for some reason my comments are like getting deleted. Like, for example, I'll check my notifications, and it'll say I got, like, a comment from one of my videos. And then I'll, like, click on it to, like, heart it or reply or something. And then it's just not there! Like, what? At first I wanted to say that, like, some people were just deleting their comments, but, I don't know, it just seems weird that they would do that. Even though I turned on the option that says allow all comments, I don't know. Is YouTube deleting my comments? They are known to do that. But, anyways. I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, let's continue. We're doing the oops, let me go back a little bit. We're doing the Ardennes!
Was where it stood
The Ardennes Offensive, Battle of the Bulge, whatever.
the best chance of success, as action against the Soviets or in Italy would bear little fruit. There was, however, one sector which had historically served the German army well. Hitler, no doubt fueled by a sense of 1940 nostalgia, ordered a massive armored attack through the lightly defended Ardennes region. His goal was to drive onto Antwerp and isolate the Commonwealth forces in Holland, knocking them out of the war and forcing Britain into another Dunkirk to save what soldiers would be left. Perhaps even triggering negotiations for peace and freeing up German troops to finally defeat the inferior Soviets in the East. Hitler was proven partly right in his predictions when the offensive, codenamed Operation Wacht am Rhein, took the American defenders by complete surprise, causing panic in their lines. However, in a characteristic display of hubris, Hitler and his high command had not only severely underestimated the fighting prowess of the American army, which after the initial shock continued to provide tenacious resistance on key crossroads and towns all over the Ardennes, but they had also failed to provide their army with enough fuel. Exhausted.
Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't really their fault. Like, they had no fuel to begin with. Oh my gosh. But, yeah. Also, I don't know if you've heard of this story, but, like, there was this story about these Americans who were surrounded, and the Germans could not get past them. And eventually the Germans, like, asked them to surrender, and the American commander sent a note back that said nuts. So, yeah.
And undersupplied, the battered remnants were ultimately ordered to withdraw entirely when a strong Allied counterattack forced its way through their weakened lines. Hitler's final gamble had utterly failed, and with it Germany's last military reserves, so desperately needed to repel the forthcoming winter offensive on the Eastern Front.
Yes, exactly. Like, the Soviets, right after the Ardennes offensive, or like a few months after, the Soviets, like, destroyed the Germans, because they completely underestimated the Soviets, even after they were taking them apart. So, yeah, the Soviets completely destroyed them and took all of Poland. Yeah, but the good news is, it delayed the Allied offensive by a few weeks. So, yeah, it's the only good thing that came out of it. Everything else is bad.
Had been spent. Germany's remaining defenders now had their work cut out for them. In January 1945, the Soviets built on the momentum of Operation Bagration to launch the Vistula-Oder offensive, a crushing drive into Poland that saw Germany lose their first conquest of the war. With renowned Field Marshal Georgy Zhukov
Guys, just look how much land they took. Oh my goodness. Are you not seeing that? That happened like so quickly.
At the head, the Soviets obliterated 45 divisions and claimed to have killed
45? That's a lot.
or captured 400,000 men, stopping at the Oder River bordering the
400,000?
fatherland. The propaganda minister recorded a feeling of utter terror sweeping through the capital of the Reich, as the citizens of Berlin worried that the Soviets had a clear path to the city.
Yeah.
There is nothing between us, no anti-tank gun, no anti-tank obstacles, not a single soldier. This would not be true for long. The Luftwaffe's 1st Flieger Division, under noted tank hunter Hans Ulrich Rudel, was stationed in the defense of the city, and High Command hoped to use the planes to pick off Soviet tanks crossing the frozen
What? Planes? I thought the planes were. I thought the Luftwaffe was. I thought the Luftwaffe was like gone by now, or not gone, but grounded because they had no fuel.
Oder. German engineers on the ground would blast the ice in non-combat areas. There would be bombers where the Soviets were, and a moat where the Soviets were not. But the blasting proved to be ineffective against the thick ice, with even power saws unable to inflict lasting damage. The Oder River was quick to heal its wounds with fresh ice.
Uh-oh.
This state of affairs would continue
Wait, how are they pushing them back? What?
through early February, when a warmer weather and the thawing of the Oder River enabled the Germans to launch a last-ditch defensive, with Rudel's planes sortying out from quickly assembled defenses on the German side to eliminate Soviet tanks. It was one such sortie that ended Rudel's flying career. After dive-bombing 12 Soviet tanks, the Panzerkrocker moved on a 13th kill, only for his engine to blow, driving white-hot debris into his leg. Rudel limped back to his airstrip, barely alive. In a way, this episode is a metaphor. The Germans continued to fight against a superior foe, even as their own equipment and leadership betrayed them. Germany's soldiers
That's what they are right now? Oh my god. The Allies are just crushing them.
had little choice in the matter. Numerous members of the High Command had so thoroughly bought into the party's propaganda that they either sincerely believed that the Third Reich would still prevail somehow, or that if they were going to lose the war, they should take as many Untermenschen as possible with them. Clearer heads were well aware of the war crimes and brutality Nazi Germany had inflicted upon the world, and feared summary execution by the Soviets or a slower trial and execution from the Western Allies. Both situations bred an atmosphere of determination worthy of Bushido, creating a clique of leaders who were determined to die fighting for the Führer, and the men under their command had little choice but to follow suit. The situation was equally dire for civilians, as those who refused conscription into the Volkssturm were summarily hanged and displayed as warnings to their neighbors. Even Germans in liberated regions weren't safe. In the city of Aachen, the Americans installed lawyer Franz Oppenhoff as governor. A Wehrwolf unit of SS and Hitler Youth members as young as 16 killed Oppenhoff not long thereafter.
Whoa, wait, what?
Weren't safe. In the city of Aachen, the Americans installed lawyer Franz Oppenhoff as governor. A Wehrwolf unit of SS and Hitler Youth members as young as 16 killed Oppenhoff not long thereafter.
Jeez.
Germany held out far longer than many would suspect, partially out of ideological fervor, but primarily out of fear, either of Allied justice or of Soviet or Nazi reprisals. Even with this intoxicating mix of fear and zeal in the air, Hitler came to believe that the German people were not only weak, but had betrayed their Führer and cost themselves the chance for racial domination. His paranoia reached its zenith in March 1945, when Albert Speer presented Hitler with a report stating the economy could hold out for another month. Perhaps
Whoa, what? That is not good.
2. Speer's reports ended with an uncharacteristically humanitarian plea, urging his Führer to consider the safety and survival of the German people and to make provisions for them in the post-war world. Hitler's alleged response displayed the ruthlessness he perceived his subjects lacked. He exclaimed, "If the war is lost, the people will be lost also. It is not necessary to worry about what the German people will need for elemental survival. On the contrary, it is best for us to destroy even these things." If the German economy would not hold, if the people could not rally behind him to be led to Endsieg, and if Germany was to fall to the Allies, then the foes of fascism would not inherit a nation. They would inherit a ruin. It was around this time that the Holocaust was rapidly intensified. As resources were depleted and territory was lost, the Nazis saw an imperative to accelerate their extermination of the lesser races before it was too late. Jewish ghettos across Poland and occupied Europe were emptied. Their occupants shipped off to extermination camps by the tens of thousands. This was the Nazis' last grasp at implementing their final solution to their Jewish question.
Jeez. You know, this is what I don't understand. Why didn't Germany wait until, like, after the war to exterminate all of these people? Like, why did they do it during the war? Like, because you could at least use them as soldiers or something. And plus, if you lose, people are gonna hate you like 10 times more. Like, it's so stupid. And then, like, if they just waited, maybe all of these people, like, in Ukraine and the Baltics or whatever, wouldn't rebel against them as much as they did, and join them like they did originally, until they realized how horrible the Germans were. Like, I don't know, it just seems like a very bad error.
On March 19th, 1945,
Wait,
Hitler...
What happened to the sound? It's weird.
Their final solution to their Jewish question.
Hello, the sound.
On March 19th, 1945, Hitler issued the decree concerning demolitions in the Reich territory, or as history would remember it.
Where's the sound? You know, how can y'all hear me, but I can't hear any sound?
Solution.
This is very dumb. Okay, I can hear stuff now.
This was the Nazis' last grasp at implementing. On March 19th, 1945, Hitler issued the decree concerning demolitions in the Reich territory, or as history would remember it, the Nero Decree, ordering the total destruction of all communications, manufacturing, and transportation infrastructure in Germany. Just days after,
I didn't hear about this.
Goebbels gave a rousing address known as the Werwolf speech, exhorting every man and woman to join the semi-mythical resistance network and fight to the last. The Allies would conquer a barren hellscape of destruction and misery, a misery visited upon the cowardly German people by their own ineptitude and inability to follow the glorious vision of Adolf Hitler. Speer was placed in charge of implementing the Nero Decree, yet understandably sat on his hands as far as enacting the wholesale destruction of Germany's infrastructure as an act of naked defiance that would have seen him put against a wall in previous years. He would not have to endure for long. The Soviet drive across the Oder paid increasing dividends, with the Soviets encircling and destroying army groups and divisions all along their offensive line and driving on Berlin. Hitler had now well and truly separated himself from reality as the Soviets closed in on Berlin. The remnants of Army Group Center, under command of Field Marshal Ferdinand Schomer, launched an offensive intended to break through the Soviet lines and reinforce the capital. The 4th Panzer Army found some small success, and Hitler saw an opportunity to launch a general counterattack, ordering the repositioning of forces to link up with Schorner's men and form pincers that would envelop Zhukov's entire army.
It seems a bit optimistic.
Hitler was sure the plan would work, but when he unveiled this plan to his generals, he was met with the reality that such a bold offensive action was impossible. In a scene that has been comedically mistranslated in countless YouTube videos, Hitler raged at his
this is Steiner's attack.
generals, lamenting their cowardice and declaring the war lost. The Soviets encircled Berlin the next day, and the fight for the capital began. But Hitler, in a final fit of vindictive madness, was set upon making the communists swim to victory in their own blood. The Soviet forces stormed the city, and brutal house-to-house fighting raged, culminating in the storming of the Reichstag on April 25th. Since January, Hitler had withdrawn underground to a complex called the Führer Bunker. It was from here he intended to oversee the final destruction of his enemies, or of Germany. If the Soviets captured Hitler, the propaganda value would be enormous, so his final plan was simple. With cyanide and a pistol shot, Adolf Hitler left the world he had been so keen to conquer, and in which he had caused such unnecessary suffering and death. The last hope of German victory had died long before, but Adolf Hitler no doubt imagined that it in fact died with him. With their Führer gone, hordes of his followers decided that they couldn't live in a world without National Socialism, and ardent Nazis from Goebbels to even the mayor of Leipzig would kill themselves, and in many cases, their entire families, as Nazi Germany crumbled around them. On May 7th...
that's probably the reason why, there wasn't an organized resistance after Germany was defeated. All the prominent Nazis died and killed themselves.
1945, Germany surrendered. The German...
I cannot even believe that happened 80 years ago or so. Wow. The world today seems like such a different place, and that would be completely unimaginable today.
Plan to win in the final years of the Second World War was entirely contingent on what was happening in the moment. Hitler and High Command spent the end of the war in a reactionary state, constantly shifting strategic priorities to ensure the completion of short-term objectives, most of which failed to materialize. Whether it was driving for the Caucasian oil fields in 1942 or raising millions of old men and boys to fight hardened Allied soldiers in 1944, Germany's harebrained schemes to snatch victory from a whirling maelstrom of annihilation show a dictatorial regime at the end of its rope. Hitler was not a military mastermind, but a vain tyrant with exceptional public speaking abilities who wished to inflict his vision upon the world. And when the world didn't accept his vision, he sought to punish it, starting with his own people.
Dang, that was powerful. This whole commentary is very, very incredible. That is why the Armchair Historian is probably one of the best history YouTube channels. But yeah, that was a very good video. Wow. But thank you everyone for watching, and leave your comments below as to what I should react to next. Do you guys want me to keep reacting to the Armchair Historian? Let me know. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.